Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to unproject one of my project cars. This is my 1996 Legacy Postal. It is right-hand drive. When I purchased it, I 5-speed swapped it, built a high compression engine for it, and dailied it for several months. That high compression engine ended up having bad rings in it, and in 1100 miles I used 13.5 quarts of oil. I then 6-cylinder swapped it, and then life happened, and it's only been driven once. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff that's just like hacked together, disconnected, not really working. I had some janky power steering lines here that burst, and I started trying to fix it with AN line, but I just haven't had a lot of time and money for this car. So today I'm going to turn it into just a regular daily driver and remove anything that deems it a project car. I will eventually put a 6-cylinder back into this, either the 30D that's already in here, or I'll upgrade to a 30R. Not sure just yet, but for now, it is 4-cylinder time. Unfortunately, I don't have my tripod with me today, so I can't really film while I work. For this, I'm going to start by just disconnecting everything: throttle cables, fuel lines, intake system. The serpentine belt is already off. I'm going to take power steering pump out. And for that, I'm just going to disconnect the lines because I have to disconnect everything anyways. Yeah. Get to work. So this was my hacked together steering lines. The problem is, this being right-hand drive, the rack has female inputs and requires male hoses. Every other rack has female hoses because it has these lines that run across on the rack, because regularly left-hand drive cars, the power steering lines still go here, then they have lines that extend over. What I did for this was kept all the Easy 30 stuff that had female ends, and then I took these are actually off of 2010 just because that's what I had. These are the lines that usually run on the rack from one side to the other, and they're just bolted in down there, and they come up to bolt in up here. So it's the regular female, and then the male that usually goes into the female down to the female on the rack, because this is a right-hand drive rack. So, I mean, technically it worked for like a test drive, and then the line burst. Got the airbox off, throttle cables, fuel lines. There's not a whole lot keeping this in. Wiring was already disconnected before I got out here. I do have to drain the coolant. I'm not going to drain the oil. I'll just leave it in the engine. And I have to take off the exhaust. Exhaust is out. Radiator's out. There's not a lot of clearance down here, you can see. But next is the bell housing bolts, and then the engine's coming out. Got everything else disconnected. Engine hoist is hooked up. Got a jack under the transmission. All the bolts are out. Looks like it's splitting nicely there. Time to yank her out. Well, it definitely separated easily enough. The problem now is the fact that I'm working outside, and the engine hoist doesn't want to move in dirt. So now here's the real challenge of getting the engine hoist back up. Then I can take the engine out. Engine is out. And on the trailer. I'm going to go ahead and put this in a storage unit. Before I take it though, I need to take the clutch off. This is actually brand new when I installed it, and it's just been sitting in a car for 3 years, getting all nice and rusty crusty. I took the flywheel off, and before I go driving down the highway, I'm going to take this off. This on the 6 cylinders is the crank trigger. That's the crank sensor right there. I don't want to lose this. I don't want it flying off, obviously. A lot of people don't realize these are back there, or they don't realize that there's an alignment thing for it to line up properly, like so. If you just toss this in there, you can install it a different way and tighten the bolts and smash that. But obviously it's not going to run right, and I've seen that happen before. So, alignment, hole, like so. Don't lose these. It is the next day. I had to pull some parts off of the engine in my other car, which means I ended up pulling 2 engines yesterday. The timing covers and whatnot off of this engine are busted. so I went ahead and grabbed the covers, all the timing gear and everything. Also grabbed the coil pack and wires. Gonna get that stuff swapped over. I also have a brand new set of spark plugs for it. Then throw the clutch on the back and set her in place. I got the coil pack installed, the new plug wires, and the new spark plugs. Moving on to the clutch back here. If I had the time and money, I would reseal these two and replace that gasket. Good news is this is metal. Some of these came with plastic ones and those leak all the time. This one doesn't appear to be leaking. This one definitely is, and that one I can't really tell because this one's leaking. The transmission in the car is coming out sooner than later, so I'll replace those when the transmission comes out. Got the flywheel mounted up. If you've ever done a clutch job on a Subaru, you know how awful the plastic tools are to properly align, because a little bit of wiggle room. Here's a simple solution. Just cut the snout off of a junk transmission, and you have a perfectly machined, perfectly aligned tool to align your clutch. And there's like no play in it. Everything's bolted up, slides in nice and easy. Good to go. Next up, timing. Got the timing all buttoned up here. Little trick that I use is I use these like folder file clip things on the, what's this, the left side of the engine. For the dual cams, I use it here and here, obviously. And for the single cams, I'll put one on either side. You can clip onto the single cam ones. This just helps because these two are spring loaded, and it helps just keep the timing belt in place, keep your marks lined up while setting the timing on the rest. And yeah, ready to pull the hand grenade. Ticking time bomb. Well, I'm gonna be honest, I kinda got in the moment and forgot to film for a bit. Engine's all put together. This is a right-hand drive specific AC compressor. I plan on having AC again, hopefully. So threw that on there. I put the power steering pump lines and everything in place. I don't know exactly how they're routed, so they're loose down there, but it's kind of a pain to put those on with the engine in. So I put them in, they just need to be tightened. This had to get swapped out, so did this. They were 6-cylinder specific. I put in 4-cylinder stuff. I got a jack to put under the transmission so I can get the engine in. Everything else should be good to go. And so I'm going to use some boards here to try and avoid making trenches with the wheels. I have extras. Hopefully it goes all right. Engine is nearly in place. The boards worked all right. They were a real pain to stay on there. Also, obviously they weren't long enough, and one thing that I oversaw was the jack being in the way. So that was a little difficult to maneuver around that, but got it, I think. About to lower this down. Hopefully it goes in with no issues. Bolts right up. Engine is in. 2 bolts are in the bell housing. Just a matter of buttoning everything up now. A few things that I am missing. I need to fix the wiring for the igniter. I need the sensors that go right here on the strut tower, along with the plugs. And I think the rest is just putting stuff back together, one piece at a time. Finally got the engine sat down in there. This side, the motor mount didn't want to slot into the frame, and so I had to fight it with pry bar for a little bit. But it is now in place. Just did the pitch mount. I've heard it called pitch mount, pitch stop, and dog bone, so whatever you call it by. Next I'm going to do the heater hoses. I need to bend this in place because the hose doesn't quite reach. And then I'll do the fuel lines and the AC lines and the radiator, alternator, power steering pump, power steering lines. Radiators in place, alternators in place. Got to put the drive belt on still, intake system, plug in the wiring, and then time for fluids. Well, I'm back home after autocross. This morning ended up being really hectic. A lot of things weren't going right for me. I had a lot more to do than I anticipated, and it just took a lot more time than I was hoping for it to take. I ended up making it to the autocross. I showed up and had an hour left. I only did 6 laps, and I'll show you why in just a moment. This morning, I made quite a bit of progress. I built a harness for coil on plug and installed individual ignition coils. Let's see if it'll focus down there. I also built an automatic to manual adapter harness. It's tucked under there, and then there's also a relay inside that's part of that. I went to the storage unit and pulled this out of storage. You can tell that this part's from the Midwest and all the rest is rust free. Anyways, the MAF sensor wiring was here, but some of it was frayed, so I went ahead and spliced in the MAF, and then these 2 plugs I had cut off, so I got it all spliced in down there. Got the intake installed on it. I think that was all I did in the engine bay. Oh, I put my JDM headlights in here. They're not actually wired up right now. They're just sitting there so I don't get a ticket. Nothing too exciting on the inside. I just plugged in the factory ECU. I have no interior in the car right now, so I just left it where it sits. And this is why I only did 6 laps. I was scraping because I don't have sway bars. You saw in the previous videos the amount of body roll I had. I was scraping up here. Lost a bit of rubber. Well, that's it for this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Check out the channel for other videos. Thanks for watching. See you next time.